Hola, amigos. Episode 2, Sweatshop Book Club. This one's a doozy. I don't know how I feel about it. Barry Ross, Underground Secrets to Faster Running, subtitled Breakthrough Training for Breakaway Running. Before I get into that, this is art done by my daughter. Can you see that? Pretty good. She was getting after it the other day. She's an animal. It's fantastic. Really getting after it. What an artist. I'm impressed. You should be too. Very, very proud of her. She's 11 months. She'll be a year old in June. That's crazy. Hopefully we're out of the house by then. So, Barry Ross, street cred, Allison Felix's coach since high school. She's done pretty well for herself, yeah? So the idea behind this book should be called Underground Secret. The secret is mass specific force. That's the main portion of this book. I got to about page 60 and then I stopped reading it and I was over it. And then I stopped reading it for a while. I put it aside, let some dust accrue, and then I said, yet hey, and finished the last 26 pages. This is 86 pages of good salient information. I think you should read it, and it gets a check mark, and I'm glad I did finish it, because at the end it talks about plyometrics, mid-torso training, and also provides training programs in there as well to help with what you're doing for increasing speed, of course. Increasing speed is the name of the game. The part that I didn't like on page 60 is it talks about how we shouldn't be cleaning, we shouldn't be snatching, we shouldn't be doing squats, this, that, and the other. And the most economical thing you can do is deadlift. You can't deadlift all the time though. And there is a lot of variance to deadlifting. I am a deadlift connoisseur, I will say that, in the sumo position. But you have conventional, you have tempo sumo, you have tempo conventional, you can do tempo and pausing and halting from a deficit, you can go off of blocks. There are many, many variants you can use. So is it the spice of life? Yeah. Do I think deadlifting's the best? Yeah. Should you only be deadlifting? Kind of took that out of context with my first read of this and my last read of this, but it is what it is. So getting back to the nitty gritty, I want to read a little bit of it, just to get through and talk about the physics of it to make it digestible. If you don't have that background, or if you're a strength nerd, this will play your heartstrings. But the first portion that I really liked about this book on page 2, it gets right to it. It's 86 pages. We got to get right into the nitty gritty as soon as possible. The conclusion should lead the reader to question whether or not the accepted methods of training to increase running speed are focused on the factors that actually cause speed to increase. This is important, right? If you're doing training to increase running speed, that training should be geared to increase running speed. This is dynamic correspondence in a nutshell, and this is what I've been talking about for a long time. Last couple posts on here have been dynamic correspondence. This is what it is. Accepted methods of training to increase running speed are focused on the factors that actually cause speed to increase. So far on page 2, I'm like, yeah, this book is great. It's fantastic. On page 4, through this book, you will discover why adding strength is necessary for running faster, while adding mass is devastating. Mass as in body weight. So if I read that again, you will discover why adding strength is necessary for faster running, while adding body weight is devastating. Yes and no, this is my first question mark of what's going on in terms of this book. And as an aside, if you're reading something that you agree with, that satiates the ego, I guess, and that satiates your perspective on life and different things and different components. I like to read things that I don't agree with, or things that help my perspective grow in regards to how I perceive certain things, to make sure that I'm growing and that I have good ideas of what's going on, because I can apply anything, and not to be a sophist and argue everything, but certain things don't work and certain things do work. That, again, is dynamic correspondence in a nutshell. So another portion that got me on the same page, he was talking about training with 5 sets of 2 reps at 85 to 90% of the max. That's 10 reps at 85 to 90% of your max. 85%, 87.5, 90%. Right? So that's with enough rest, that's a very doable training session. Talks about same strength increases can be obtained or exceeded in a 1-hour workout, a workout that is so much less demanding on your neuromuscular system that it can be done 3, 4, or even 5 days in a row without overtaxing your body. This book talks a lot about bodybuilding, not vilifying it, but talking about it in a negative way, and that's why mass-specific force, the body weight portion of this book, is negatively referred to within this. But you can't do a heavy training session 3, 4, 5 times in a row during a week. A lot of it is talking about not neuromuscular fatigue, central nervous system fatigue, but actual skeletal muscle fatigue, just being tired and worn out. Training sessions with lifting also correspond and have to transfer with what you're actually doing on the field or on the track or whatever your sport is, on the court. That's also very important, right? So the idea here is I gotta make sure that my training isn't overtaxing me, because the training matters, yeah, because it makes me better, but the training isn't the actual competition, isn't the actual event. So practicing for your actual sport is more important than the training portion of it. And that should be noted as well. So now we start getting into physics and we start talking about gravity. Let's talk about mass first. So body weight is the layman's terms for this. Greater mass equals greater gravitational pull. When we're running and we start out, whether we're in blocks or we're accelerating, we start in a torso position where we're here. This is my hip, this is my shoulder or head. I'm accelerating in a more horizontal position, I'm driving, I'm trying to get as much speed as possible. Eventually I get some verticality in my torso, I'm more upright. And this is where gravity starts affecting me more and mass starts to become a bigger factor. This is my top speed position. This is where I'm my fastest, where I'm wheeling over really well, I'm recycling my strides really, really well. Greater mass equals greater gravitational pull. So if I have more mass and I'm not stronger, and that's the caveat and that's the asterisk, if I have more mass and I'm not stronger, I will be slower because there's actual more gravitational pull due to excess mass. A study published in the Journal of Biomechanics in 1987 showed that the amount of force used horizontally during constant speed running is as little as 1/10 of the amount of force applied vertically. Vertical force, there's more force applied there during running than there is during horizontal positions. So more force, let's try that 3 or 4 times. More force is applied at top speed, and that makes sense because I'm going faster here, so I need to apply more force into the ground. During constant speed running with no air resistance, propulsion forces and braking forces are equal. If I'm running, propelling, going fast, and accelerating within top speed, those forces equal braking forces, amortization, foot hitting the ground. This is lovely. That's just something to note on the side. So what coaches don't realize, what this book is making a big deal of, mass-specific force, you can use to your advantage mass-specific force by using the principles presented in this book. Added mass creates more gravitational pull. Mass is actually working against you. Recall the predominant factor in faster running is the ability to generate and transmit muscular force to the ground. Again, we're talking muscular force. Not a lot of CNS talk in this book, which I have a gripe about, but that's another story for another time. But because of gravity, it isn't merely the amount of force applied to the ground that increases the stride length, it's the amount of force in relation to body weight or mass-specific force. This is what I've been saying for 10 years. A lot of coaches think that speed is stride length and stride frequency. Stride length is how long I can stride in between each step of running, and stride frequency is how many times my foot hits the ground. So if I can stride longer and I can stride more often, you would think that I'm faster. So yeah, that makes sense. That's pragmatic. If I'm a coach, it's logical. So I want to teach my athletes how to step longer, stride longer when we're sprinting, and I want them to get in the speed ladder and get more frequency within their steps. Those are byproducts of mass-specific force. If you get stronger, those things happen naturally. So I don't have to practice a longer stride length. I don't have to practice stride frequency if my ground force contact times increase because of strength. This is fantastic, and this is what you should know. Stride length isn't the only part of the equation affected by greater force. Stride rates also show significant gain. The two main factors of stride rate are ground contact time and swing time. Swing time is the time between ground contacts for the same foot. That's what he refers to as swing time. Coaches who work on increasing stride rate spend their time attempting to decrease swing time, but you will soon see that decrease in swing time is really of little consequence in speed training because contact time is a more important factor in stride rate. Greater mass-specific force causes the ground contact times to decrease, so stride rate becomes faster by the amount of time not spent on the ground. Think of it like a bouncing ball. The harder you throw it against the ground, the faster it bounces back up, right? If I drop a tennis ball from here, it's gonna bounce a little bit. If I throw a tennis ball down, it's gonna come up faster. Fast eccentrics over speed eccentrics. Louis Simmons, that's where I heard about this book first. Faster eccentrics, faster concentrics, and faster reversal speed in terms of that quasi-isometric at the bottom. So we're 10 minutes in. Little quick bit of math we can hold on in terms of really understanding mass specific force. If I have two athletes, one is 100 pounds and the other athlete is 200 pounds. If they can both lift 400 pounds, the ratio for mass specific force of the 100-pound lifter who can lift 400 pounds is 4. If I have a 200-pound lifter, if you're already ahead of me, good for you. If you're not, listen close. 200-pound lifter, body weight, can lift 400 pounds. His ratio is 2 for mass specific force. The higher mass specific force, 4, will go faster. So a 100-pound guy is running faster than a 200-pound guy. My gripe a little bit with this is if you are already where you need to be with body mass in terms of lead body mass and how you look and how you're moving. Charlie Francis talks about this, and we'll get to in later subsequent episodes, but if it doesn't look right, it doesn't fly right, that deals not only with technicality and form of how you're sprinting, but actual body mass, because it talks about how the hamstring should insert into the glute. Hamstring should insert into the knee, and building those specifically for running. He talks about that a lot. So if you need to build mass, maybe you're in high school, middle school, college, post-college, if you're still an amateur and you're doing pretty well with that, and you want to get faster, maybe you might need to add lean body mass in certain areas, and maybe you don't. But if you're already there, if you're Ben Johnson, Allison Felix, you're good where you're at, and you just need to get stronger. So take that with a grain of salt. I would suggest getting this. It got to me quick within the Amazon. You can read within one session if you want to. If you want your athlete to go faster, this is a good review after watching this video. If you don't want them to go faster, keep doing what you're doing, working on speed, ladders, and stride length, and working in the stand, which dampens the stretch shortening cycle, but I don't want to get into that either. So thank you again. Ciao.